the networks, which is worth as much then as it is now, was that that families are dead on TV.
There's a reason you're not working right now. You're a little outspoken.
There are more than one reason, but really, I just want to make clear one thing. This show worked because of these actors, because of that talent, and because of that magic.
All right, so then look at the group for me then, and tell me. It's always nice to find out about the casting process. All right, because they became icons. Right. This family and this cast became iconic. So let's look at Michael. Why was he cast?
Ah, that's a good story, Gary.
My daughter Shauna...
We're going to get into some secrets here.
That's okay. Why do you think we're here?
My daughter Shauna looked at the tape that we had from New York and she said, I really like him, Daddy. I think he'd be a good dad.
I owe this job to his daughter, and she still takes 5% of my income.
Shauna went on to be the executive producer, head writer of Friends on NBC.
So she had a track record.
Early instant.
What about Justine?
Justine came in, and there was just, she was inexperienced at that time, had not done much.
Two commercials,
and we just said, this is the sweetest person in the world, that she has to be in our life.
Little did they know.
Did you ever get tired of the ditzy lines they wrote for you? Because the good thing about your character, you always had a heart of gold.
No, the thing about a sitcom is it's going to take on a life of its own as soon as it begins. In the beginning, Malerie wasn't like that at all. But they had Alex giving a lot of digs to Malerie, and one day I decided to take it as a compliment instead of, and the writers were just awesome. They go, that's it, and they just dove on it, and they went with it.
That's Malerie.
The thing I always say real quick, the thing about Justine, I always say to people, Justine Bateman can float up a setup like no one you ever saw. I mean, it's like a balloon. She takes a setup line and it's an art, and it's never really appreciated because the other guy gets the laugh. But it's an art.
Let me add one other thing about Justine. I always thought, no, I'm serious. I always thought, hands down, it was one of the best jobs of acting on the show because she is so unlike her character. She's bright, very intelligent, so forth and so on, and she had to play a ditz brain, and she did it so well. And I thought you were the most different from any of us in real life.
As we turn to find out about the casting of Tina, isn't it true that on the first day of shooting you thought you were going to be fired?
I did. I had the stomach flu, and I was 8, and I thought if they saw me throwing up, I would not have a job tomorrow.
So you held it for the entire day?
An 8-year-old.
Tell me about casting Tina.
I just want to say, had she thrown up, she would have been fired. Well, Tina had been in a movie with Albert Finney and Diane Keaton, and more than held her own, a movie called Shoot the Moon. And Judith Weiner, our late and great, wonderful casting director, whom we all adored, and responsible for a lot of the success of our show, Judith had said, there's the girl, we don't have to see anybody else, it's her forever.
Have you ever, Gary, been honest with Meredith about why she was cast?
Meredith knows that I had a serious crush on her, and that's why she was the first one to
That's
cast.
sufficient. I didn't require more than that. I didn't need no respect, admiration, but that was
So it was pure lust?
It was higher than lust, but it was in that category, yes.
That's why Vieira got the job here also, by the way. Same thing.
Because Gary loves it?
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about Michael. Why was he cast?
Michael almost wasn't cast.
Why?
Because originally I had seen a tape of another actor, this young Matthew Broderick, who hadn't started on anything yet. And then that deal fell through, and Michael came out and read for us. And you know, Mike is such a gifted actor, has so many options, so many weapons, and he had made a very specific choice. This is my memory of it, by the way. And he had chosen to access the more or less what I call the darker side of Alex Keaton, and it didn't work. And I was at this stupid producer stage of my life, which I may still be in, of, well, that's what they bring, I'm not going to help them or say anything, and I let him go. And Judith Weiner said, that's the biggest mistake you've ever made. See him again, see him again. For a month, kept saying, see him again, you have to see him again. Biggest mistake, see him again. And then finally, just to get her to shut up, I said, all right, I'll see him again. I know he's not the guy. And he comes in, and he is who he is, and it was spectacular. And I turned to Judith, and I said, this guy's great. Why didn't you tell me about him?
You needed the gig too, didn't you?
He was having this whole should I not? I was eating like cardboard and I was using a phone booth with Pioneer Chicken as my phone.
You were down and out.
I was playing Duck the Landlord. It was bad. It was bad. So I really needed the job. I mean, if I didn't get the job, I'd be picking up nails on a construction site in Canada.
What was it when the show really took off, and boy did it take off? How'd you keep the egos in check?
No problem with these people. That's one of the things that just has to be made clear. And also, in terms of everyone enjoying everyone else's success, of people coming to me when the other actors were on stage working, and you could just see everyone watching everyone else really enjoying it. And what Michael was saying is the idea that everyone knew a laugh on the stage belonged to everyone. And we shared in that as a group.
So after 7 seasons, it's my understanding the network wanted an 8th season.
Yes, yes.
And
I didn't know that.
a little miffed at that.
I'm hearing about it this week,
Was it
yes.
solely your decision not to?
No, we all felt, or at least I think,
Everybody but Meredith
I
apparently.
know that we felt that we had done, I would say creatively for myself, whatever goals I had, I felt had been met. And I didn't want to abuse our relationship with the audience, and I didn't want to abuse my relationship with the characters and the actors. And I just felt it was time to go. And I think Michael had
I was married with a baby on the way, and I didn't care if Malerie got off the phone.
Yeah, so we were really getting into that strange area where we had one great day where Mike is still arguing with Malerie, and he turned to me and goes, "Gary, surely I've worked this out by now." You know, Malerie getting her off the phone.
And second thoughts though later about not doing that
we
8th
have
season?
a nice story because we left quite a bit of money on the table, and we're out to lunch about 3 years ago, and with no preamble, Mike looks up and says, "We should have done the 8th year." Yeah, we should have.
Hindsight 2020.
Unfortunately, nobody told me. I showed up at the 8th season in the studio. No one was there.
Those first episodes.
Should have devoted the primary.
Yeah.